everyone, and welcome to the 47th episode of Slime Time, the official Dragon Quest Dragon's Den podcast. This is Plattym3.
And this is Liamland. And I have to admit, Platty, I'm a little confused about what we're doing here today. I did read the script and all, but I still don't kind of get it.
Well, we're ending this. Just once and for all. Done.
Ending what exactly? The podcast? I mean, come on, we're almost to episode 50. You can't go out on a boring-ass number like 47.
Apologies to former Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Denver Broncos Hall of Fame safety and current San Francisco 49ers general manager John Lynch. You were the best 47 ever. Love you.
This isn't a football side quest, Platty.
No. It's not. You're right. And it's not the end of Slime Time either. It's just the end of a bitter, long-running rivalry.
Oh, damn. You're going to have it out with Austin and BJ? I keep telling you, they're not rivals. It's more like partners in slime.
Ah, nice try. Nice pun there, too. But we did that gag on the DQ Rivals episode. No. This runs deeper than just Dragon Quest or SMT or Final Fantasy. This episode strikes to the core of every RP gamer.
Whoa. Okay, I don't exactly know where you're going with this, but you're the RP gamer, Platty, not me. Don't drag me into this. I'm not that hardcore. I'm more of an RPG fan.
Oh, excuse me, what?
I'm more casual, so don't go rivalry with me.
Ah, well, if you're an RPG fan, then you're going to get along great with our guests today.
Oh, okay. I still don't get it. I may now actually be more confused than before.
Yeah. Okay, well, let me break this down for you. Because, as you said, I volunteer member of the site rpgamer.com, and remember about 16 or so months ago we recorded a Dragon Quest IV podcast with Phil from the old RPG Backtrack?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, end of last year, Phil decided he was going to devote himself more fully to streaming a ton of obscure RPGs, and he handed the podcast off to my amazing co-host Kelly Ryan and me. And because besides Slime Time, I now co-host RPG Backtrack, your regular deep dive into your favorite RPGs from the earliest days of console gaming right up to the hits of yesteryear. See, RP Gamer, though, we've got this bitter rival website that's got a similar podcast called Retro Encounter. And I kind of thought it'd be great to invite a couple of their hosts on that are Dragon Quest fans, and they can celebrate Dragon Quest XI's third Western anniversary with us this month, therefore ending any rivalry and joining us together on air in a neutral podcast setting.
So you invited people from RPG site?
Oh, dear God, no, not at all. We're not going to talk about that website.
Okay, all right. All jokes aside, joining us today from RPGFan and their Retro Encounter podcast, let's give a warm welcome to Michael Sollosi and Alana Hagues. Did I pronounce your name right? I'm sorry.
Nope. You did not.
All right.
It's fine. I'm used to it. Don't worry.
All right. I should have asked you that beforehand.
I'm also used to it.
All right. Well, let me get that right again.
All right. So it's Alana Hagues. So you got my first name right.
That was going to be my 47th guess.
That's good. Hey, wow! What coincidence.
47, a nice good round number there. Well, welcome to the podcast. I'm sorry for butchering your names. Did I get Sollosi right?
This time you did, yes. Sollosi.
Oh, did I say Sollosi the first time?
I think you got one of the O's was a little different, but
okay.
it is Sollosi. So
all right, cool.
It took you way less than 47 times.
I'm gonna quiz me at the end of this, and I will try to recreate the magic of this introduction.
I'm so glad I put you on that line.
Yeah,
I actually just realized I got that line. You're gonna do that to me every time now.
I have been known to put on the quiz show before, so we can arrange something at the end.
Ooh,
all right, sounds great. All right, so I did want to review a recent Dragon Quest V poll that I put up because I've been fascinated with how much the fans absolutely love this game. I mean, you'd swear if the bride choices were like Bianca, Nira, Deborah, and then the plot of Dragon Quest V, like so many people would marry the plot of Dragon Quest V. But I've been just kind of fascinated by this game and how people love it and why people love it. So I started throwing some polls together on Twitter, and just like one-day polls, see how many respondents I get. And the first one First question I came up with was, which version of Dragon Quest V is your favorite? If you've only played one, just choose that one. 77 people responded, close to 78% people responded to the DS version. 3% was for mobile, 7% PS2, and 11% for Super Famicom. Second question was, who's your favorite Dragon Quest bride of choice? 60% said Bianca, which I immediately I showed that to Pendy immediately because he loves to point out that everyone loves the childhood best friend, the concept of marrying the childhood best friend, and yet you've only really hung out with her once and went ghost hunting. so 60% of
remember
the people.
that time you went ghost hunting?
Yeah.
It was amazing.
I'm sure if you were like,
Bianca will remind you of it many times.
If you were 6 and that happened to you with your childhood friend, you'd still remember it then. I think that's pretty amazing experience. Who knows? Maybe wedding material in the future. 27.8%, close to 28% said Deborah, and then poor Nira only got 12%. Nobody likes the rich girl. They want the ghost hunting friends at one time. And the third question is, if you had to pick one thing, what do you like most about Dragon Quest V? A whopping 62.5 people said dramatic plot.
Wow.
And then monster collecting and party and characters were both tied at 18.8%. So I put monster collecting / party 18.8% and characters 18.8%. Monster enemies a whopping 0. Nobody cares about the enemies in this unless you can collect them and put them in your party.
And
save them in all the games, whatever.
Yeah.
And the breathtaking Sugiyama soundtrack didn't even rate as an option.
Yeah, breathtaking. Yeah, I wasn't going to put that one in there. Not exactly my favorite of the soundtracks. So it had a handful of memorable tracks, but overall, I was not as pleased with that one. But then I got the kind of like they give you some back end stats that tell you like how many people answered the poll. The first poll, which version of Dragon Quest V is your favorite? 27 people answered that one. The second one, this one got like I guess retweeted the most. Received 100. This is the which bride of choice. 133 votes. 133 people answered the which bride of choice. And then if you had to pick one thing, only 16 people picked one thing about what they like most about Dragon Quest. So 16 people. It was that 62%. So it's kind of interesting because 133 people answered the bride choice, but only 16 people said dramatic plot.
Yeah, it's only about the girls.
It's right there in the title, even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, the poll numbers seem a little skewed. I should have stuck in if you had to pick one thing. I just should have put like waifu as a choice in the poll and watch the numbers spike in a different way. But that's enough of stats.
That's also enough with Dragon Quest V.
Yeah.
Because today we're going to be talking about our history with Dragon Quest XI, since this is the 3rd anniversary month of the game's initial release in the West. But first, we always like to get to know our guests, and since we definitely have some new guests on today, and Alana, I guess this first question really doesn't go out too much to you, because I think it's pretty obvious. But what are some of your usernames or handles online?
Yeah, I keep it pretty simple. Usually just Twitter and Instagram are Alana Hagues, and I'm on Discord, and it's just my first name. It's just Alana, probably with a number after it. I haven't ever looked, so yeah, I'm not too difficult to find. My name's fairly unique, but yeah.
And Mike, you've got some different handles around.
I do, yeah. For one, it appears that Mike Sollosi is not unique enough to have a proper handle, because when I signed up for Twitter originally, there was already someone that had @Sollosi and another Mike Sollosi floating out there, which surprised me a little bit, because my name's not exactly a normal name. It's a Hungarian name that had a couple letters excised from it when it went through Ellis Island. But if you see a Mike Sollosi online, it's probably me, because I'm way more online than every other Mike Sollosi. I
believe it.
Yeah, there's some more poll results.
Sure, but my Twitter handle for the most part is The Real Monsoon, and my and my Discord handle is Monsoon Mike because of a very, very weird story that I guess I'm going to tell now. One time in the late 2000s, I was playing Soul Calibur 4 at a friend's place. And I think more people were coming later, but it was just him and I hanging out. And he was making our whole little crew of friends in the create a character mode. And he said, "Hey, Sollosi, what are we going to call your character?" And I said, I don't know, but make him a pirate. So he said, all right. So he decided to make the most flamboyant purple and yellow and green pirate you've ever seen with Raphael's moveset. And on a whim named it Monsoon Mike. And
oh god, yeah.
And somehow that turned him into calling me Monsoon all the time, and then justifying it further by saying whenever I go into one of my long-winded ramble rant explanations, that's me monsooning on him. So
oh wow,
yeah.
Exactly. So
even become a verb.
Yeah, so my name has been Monsoon ever since then, probably around 2008, 2009 range, figure a few months after Soul Calibur 4 came out in the West. And that's been my handle almost everywhere since then. I also have a second handle on Twitter just for when I post things that I think are too niche for my regular account, and that account is called Evoker for Dogs, and it is named after something in Persona 3.
It's my favorite Twitter account name in the world.
It's I mean that's an actual line in the game. Mitsuru says, "It's an evoker for dogs" when she's explaining how Koromaru can use his powers.
So how did you originally get into the Dragon Quest series?
Right. Well, I guess I have a long history of playing video games at friends' houses. Because I remember playing an RPG for the first time at a sleepover. And we were all playing a Super Nintendo, but I didn't have a Super Nintendo at home. I just had an NES. But I'm like, I need to play some more of these RPG things. That was amazing. So I at the video rental store near me and the used game store, I was directed to I think basically Final Fantasy 1 and all 4 Dragon Warrior games, and I rented all of them at least once, but couldn't totally figure out any of them. Part of it definitely being that I was just jumping into other people's save files, at least at first. But I did at least beat the first couple chapters of Dragon Quest 4 or Dragon Warrior 4, and so that's how I first got into it. I didn't finish any of those games, but then I actually started knocking out Dragon Quest games when I was emulating every Super Famicom game under the sun in the early 2000s and beat Dragon Quest V, loved it. Then I went back and beat the NES version of Dragon Quest IV, loved it. And less than a year after those two, Dragon Quest VIII came out in the West, and I have been playing basically all of them as they came out since then.
Awesome.
Gosh, yours is much more storied than mine.
and somewhere in the middle there, I also bought the Game Boy Color versions of Dragon Warrior 1, 2, and 3, and that's how I finished those. But that was after I beat 8.
That's all right. Those are good.
Awesome.
I like those Dragon.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, they were really good versions. They were. I found them easier to digest than the NES counterpart.
Oh yeah. So Alana, what have you played? How'd you get into it?
Well, going back to when I first got into it, well, the thing is I'm from the UK and I live in the UK, so I'm sure everybody knows how mishandled we've been with RPGs, in particular JRPGs, being localized. So Dragon Quest or Dragon Warrior was never a thing. The first Dragon Quest game we got, I believe, was Dragon Quest VIII. So that was coincidentally my first Dragon Quest game, and it just happened to be that I read a review of it when I was a kid and was like, oh, that sounds really good, let's go get it. And went and picked it up, was familiar with Toriyama, and really just ran away with it. I absolutely loved it. I never really got into emulation like Mike did, so I didn't really get into any of the other ones, particularly because you couldn't even go out and buy Dragon Warrior 7 because it never happened, or even some of the older ones. But then I picked up Dragon Quest 9 when it came out on DS and had a lot of fun with that. And have owned most or all of them at various different times, but have only played probably about half of them. Now they're all readily available. It's still on my list to get my way through all of them. But yeah, Dragon Quest VIII is the one that started it all, really. It was the first one we got. It was the first one that was localized, so everyone was like raving. They were like, oh my god, it's British people doing British voice acting and stuff. And it's like, yeah. So yeah, not as storied, unfortunately, but definitely we got dealt the short end anyway. So that's where we started.
Yeah, you have been over there.
8 is still a good starting point too. I mean, there's a lot of games that I would say are good starting points in the series, but 8 is just such a beautiful. It's so close to like the traditional anime style, or like just in general, it's a beautiful game. And the voice acting is fantastic. You got Jessica, you got Ricky Grover as Yangus. And he just nails that character. It's such a gem for the series. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, it came like I was playing a lot of other like anime RPGs at the same time as well. So like Tales and Star Ocean. So it was just like the turn-based equivalent of those, I guess. So yeah.
Nice. That's actually the one RPG we have, like in the mainline series, we haven't actually done an episode on yet. So hopefully we can remedy that soon.
Yep.
8 has plenty of fans out there, so I'm sure.
Oh yeah. We are among them. We just haven't gotten around to it yet.
Yeah, you will not have
jumped all over the place.
Yeah.
No, yeah. When we started the podcast, right immediately after starting it, the Rocket Slime 3 fan translation came out, and we did a hard right into getting those translators on, and we've jumped around ever since. Like there's been no no straight line.
11 was still relevant when we started as well. Like it was kind of maybe the S version was just coming out, and I feel like going in order is something the previous iterations of Slime Time had tried to do and failed. Like they just couldn't. They couldn't produce episodes. They couldn't get enough people together to kind of continue that going from 1, 2, 3 all the way up. So we never really did that. We kind of jumped around based on what the guest wanted to talk about. And when it came to 8, we just haven't had someone jump out and say like, yeah, I want to really do 8, but I really want to do 8. So yeah, we'll get to it.
We'll get there.
We'll get to it
It'll
soon.
happen.
The podcast I run has done episodes on 4, 5, and 11, so I think that means we'll probably get to the whole series by 2035.
God, yeah, it's like every
nice.
couple of years, isn't it?
Nice.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
DQ10 servers should still be running then, I believe.
Probably, yeah. Well, that offline version of 10 for sure. But yeah, I mean, the HD version of 3 will help with that at least. So whenever that comes
Hopefully,
out.
Yeah, that looks beautiful.
Yeah, it really does.
Well, speaking of 3.
Oh.
Here comes the transition.
I'll segue that right into the next
transition.
It may not be, but I'll let each of you talk about, and I know Alana, you've not played as many, but what are some of your favorite games in the series? And if you've played any of the spin-offs, which ones have you liked?
So I'll go with spin-offs first. Again, not a ton. The only 2 I've really played any of is Dragon Quest Heroes, so the first like Muso style Dragon Quest game. Really liked it, and it was a really good. I think it's a really good way. Like if you're not really familiar with Dragon Quest as a kind of style, or isn't it like it's a really good way of introducing you to all the characters and giving you like a dose of their personality. Like it's the reason I know who Terry is. It's the reason I know what Alina and Kirill were like before playing 4. So it was a really nice way of like interacting with many of the things in that series. And I've been on a break for a while from that point. Like I'd only played 8 and 9. And then like when did Dragon Quest Heroes come out in the West? 2015, 2016?
It was a pretty early PS4 game. I think it was 2015.
I think it was 2015.
Right.
Yeah, that does sound right. It was about the same time I joined RPGFan. So yeah, it seemed like a really good place to jump back in, even if it was totally different. And yeah, it did, because it totally got me interested in going back to the series again. The only other one I've played even a little bit of is, I think it's called Dragon Quest Swords, the Wii one with
Yep.
yeah. That was a time, I think. Like, that's the only way I can think of putting it. Like, that was certainly an experiment, because I was just like I was trying to find like Dragon Quest games that had come out in Europe, and I think that was only the second or the third one at that point. Like 9 hadn't even come out, so I was like, oh, this looks cool. It's nothing like it, is it? But yeah.
Go pick up Boom Street.
Oh god, yeah. Oh yeah, they're in another like Square Enix like spin-off game as well, aren't they? Jessica and Yankus. But yeah. I can't remember what. They're always in all of them. But yeah, in terms of favorites, it's always between 3. One of them we're talking about today. One of them we've already talked about. Well, actually, we've already talked about both of them. So Dragon Quest V is probably my favorite. I have a little bit of a soft spot for Super Nintendo era games anyway. And Dragon Quest V I played in 2019, really recently. So the fact that it still feels really unique now, in, you know, however much older, like, when did it come out? 1992. So it would have been 27 years at that point when I played it, 27 years old. Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. Like, it's so well structured and so well laid out. That I could easily go back and play it again and just breeze through it and do so many different things, like recruit many different monsters and stuff like that. I just think it's got one of the strongest stories in the series up until maybe 7 or 8. So yeah, it just stands up to me as like a really, really amazing Super Nintendo RPG still.
Awesome.
And Mike, what are some of yours?
Sure. I haven't played a ton of the spin-offs. I messed around with one of the Dragon Quest Monsters games when I was much younger. I think it was the first one, but I sort of didn't understand it enough and then gave it back to the friend that loaned it to me. But I did get into Dragon Quest Rocket Slime for the DS. I thought that was really fun. And then when I was like I think I was looking up to see if they were making a Rocket Slime 2 or something, I realized it was the middle chapter of 3 games. And that just made me annoyed that the GBA original and the 3DS sequel never came out. I know there was translation efforts for both of them, but I didn't look that hard to play those because there's always something I'm being distracted by. It's not the game's fault, but I liked the translated official Rocket Slime, but haven't played the others. And also, I would be lying to myself if I didn't mention my ongoing addiction to Dragon Quest Tact, one of the Dragon Quest mobile gacha games. I log into that at least twice a day just to make sure I'm spending my stamina sensibly. It's a time that I can use right early in the morning and right after work to listen to podcasts for 30 minutes and mess around with my units and try to level some things up. And that sort of goes into my attachment to the monsters of Dragon Quest, because Dragon Quest Tact is most of your team is monsters in that game, and I just think that the Akira Toriyama monster designs are so beautiful and colorful. I own a couple figurines of them, and I think that goes into why for many years Dragon Quest V has sort of been my favorite. It was not the first one I played, but it was the first one I finished during that early 2000s time when I was emulating a lot of stuff, and everything from the hero's journey to the choosing your wife and sort of hitting different parts of the game at different parts of your life when you're a little kid, then a teenager, then a husband, then a father, really makes it unique and powerful. And the fact that you recruit most of your team as monsters in the field and have all kinds of silhouettes in your wagon by the end game is really fun. Although the thing is, I've played Dragon Quest V, I guess 4 times by now, and if I were to replay it a 5th time, I don't know if I would experiment much. I would probably just recruit the same monsters I've always recruited, and recreate the teams that I've loved over the years. I experimented between playthroughs early on, but now it's like I sort of know what I want to get out of the game. So I don't know if I'll ever replay it again, but 5 is very near and dear to my heart. And the only game that's challenged it since is 11.
So what you're saying is that you are that kid in Dragon Quest, your story.
Oh God, a little bit, and on at least one occasion, I did intend to marry Nira and went with Bianca anyway. So maybe
never Deborah though. Never Deborah.
No, I did the first time I played the DS version. I went with Deborah. I did.
Fair enough.
So
everybody's been with Deborah.
Yeah, so
not me.
Not me.
I haven't either.
Yeah,
I did Bianca twice. I did Bianca twice on the Super Famicom version, then Deborah once, then Bianca again on the DS version.
Yeah, I mean, I've dated a bunch of Debras in real life, so I kind of tried to stay away from her in the game. But I do.
Remember the old saying is, "Don't stick your Cypress stick in crazy."
Yes.
Oh God.
Oh man. So
All right, we put the mature tag on all of our podcasts.
Yeah,
we just let it all hang out.
When Alana said that you're reliving Dragon Quest, your story, I just kept thinking of you making a baby in a VR machine.
Oh my God.
Oh wow.
I can't believe I opened this door. That was not what I was intending on this going.
But yeah, my original question I was going to say was, do you pick a different bride if you play or replay? Because that's what I've been doing. You know, I've played the Super Famicom version multiple times and gotten different bride scenarios each time, but there's only 2 in that one. So in the DS version, I'm currently on my second playthrough with Nira as the wife, and then I'll replay that again as with Deborah, and then I've got to play through 3 times on the mobile version, and then twice on the PS2 version.
And the first time I played the DS version, I picked Deborah, and sort of I knew that her name was Deborah ahead of time because I've been following a little bit of news about the game before it came out in North America. So I knew there was a third option, and her name was Deborah. My mother's name is Deborah, so I sort of for fun.
How Oedipal.
Yeah, exactly. Well, not exactly, but like for fun, I named the hero after my dad. Married Deborah, and then named the 2 kids after myself and my sister.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
You told that story.
That's
yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
I remember that.
I've told you before, Alana. Maybe I told it on a podcast before. I feel like I've shared my entire gaming history on podcasts. Over the past 5 years or so. So I tend to only have like the same 11 stories that I keep recycling over and over by now.
Not true.
Nice.
That's okay. Liam will drop a monster sprites moving in Dragon Quest 6 at some point. Even though that'll never come up, but
I don't. All right, I don't know why that would come up, but yes, that is a good point about first for the series. I'm playing through 5 with my son right now on the Super Famicom, and he's not super interested in the fact that Pappas dies, or Pancraz, that the father dies within the first half hour of the game, maybe hour of the game.
It's like the second or third dungeon. It's after you meet Prince Harry, so it's
So I guess
it's a couple of hours maybe.
Yeah, okay.
Gone ghost hunting.
Yes, that's true. You have to do all that stuff first. That's right. All right. It seems like a short amount of time, but I guess it's a couple of hours in. He was enjoying the ghost hunting, and then we got to the cave, and he couldn't really fathom what was happening, and then he was just super depressed after and didn't want to play anymore. But I've been slowly kind of getting him back into it. He's about to pick the bride, and then I'm going to name the children after him and his sister.
Oh.
So little different ways of kind of getting him back, and I'm going to show him the Bjorn fight. He'll think that's awesome.
And make sure you make it very clear how much cooler the son is than the dad in that game, because the son gets the equipment. And he learns better spells.
Right.
So make it clear that that guy was the main character. Now you're the main character. You're the hero.
Right. And then the shade they throw on the daughter.
Right.
You're not even making it in the movie version.
Yeah, exactly.
No, right?
Yeah. So
no daughter, no Deborah. Movies.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Deborah wasn't the original canon wife either. They were talking about the Super Nintendo version or Super Famicom version, and then and the PS2 version didn't even have her. So she was first introduced with the DS.
The only Luka that matters to me is Luka Doncic, and that's where I'm leaving it.
Oh man! All right, where are we? Do you have any favorite or least favorite characters or monsters in the games?
Oh yeah,
you want to go?
Yeah, sure. I mean, going back to me loving monster recruitment in Dragon Quest V, every time I play that game, I have to get a Slime Knight early on, and then a Golem around the midpoint, and then grind until I get a Great Dragon at the end. Because those are my 3 horses that I'll ride for the entire game, even though the Great Dragon probably won't reach level 15 by the time I fight the final boss. But the very first time I played that game, I got a Great Dragon really easily without really having to grind. Even though it's either a 1 out of 64 or a 1 out of 128 recruiting chance. I forget which. But then, and I'm like, well, this is awesome, and this is my new favorite monster. This is great. But then every subsequent time I've had to play it, I realized, oh, this is a low recruitment chance, but I really want one, so I guess I'm grinding for it. And that's how that's why I've grinded for a great dragon 3 times playing Dragon Quest V. But like going on after that, I really love Slion Hearts from Dragon Quest.
Yeah,
that's so good.
Yeah, the color variants are called Prime Slime and Shogun, but it's because I already liked Slime Knights, and they just gave us this really cool, almost evolved version of them. That I've really appreciated Slion Hearts over the years since.
Nice. God, how are you, Alana?
That's hard to beat Slion Heart, isn't it? Yeah, all of my favorites tend to be just more based on because I think they're all wonderful. I think you said earlier, Mike, the designs are just perfect. But in terms of classic ones, I like King Slimes and Liquid Metal Slimes in particular. I don't really know why I like Liquid Metal Slimes in particular. They're just they're kind of cute. I kind of like them. But otherwise, Golems as well. I think they've got they're so useful. They're consistently useful in the series when you can recruit them, and they just have a really, really cool design. And then all the rest of the ones that I like have just puns like Stock Raven, Professorus, Sham Hatwitch.
Yep.
I'm shallow.
Favorite.
I'm shallow, but that's absolutely what I go for.
In a boss in Dragon Quest IX, the Jack of all trades becomes master of none.
Yes.
I was just gonna say 9 has so many great ones.
I mean, I think how Dragon Quest is written in Japanese also includes a lot of puns, and they tried to preserve the spirit of that by including a lot of puns in the English localizations, and it is so appreciated because those translators and writers, they go ham shatwich on these puns.
They really do.
Right.
You can feel the work going into these puns, and I love them every time. I mean, we're going to talk about Dragon Quest XI eventually, I presume, but did they have to have one entire town speak in rhyming couplets and another entire town speak in haiku? That's
yes,
that's a lot of work. That's
yes,
crazy.
they did. Yeah, but how rewarding is that? I think there's it must be the dream localization job, right? You imagine just being told you get paid to write puns for the rest of your life.
You know how it's impossible to make money as a poet? We need you to be a poet for this whole project.
Right.
And we're paying you.
All poetry is filtered through Dragon Quest now.
Dragon Quest is the #1 employment destination for all poets in the UK, guaranteed.
Schlock International, they do a good job. They do a lot of level 5 stuff too.
They do, yeah. They do.
Yeah, they do use a lot of UK voice actors. I think they did for Rogue Galaxy as well, didn't they?
No, Rogue Galaxy's got a lot of American VA because Steve Bloom's in there for definite. So,
right. Oh no, Professor Layton though.
Professor Layton, Nino Cooney, certainly Nino Cooney 1.
And Inazuma 11 didn't even come out in North America, but it did have an English version in the UK. I always meant to import that, but I never got around to it.
I just played that this year. It was pretty good. The original one.
In Japan, I think they had made at least 5 of them, right?
There's so many.
Yeah, they were really popular for a minute, but now I think level 5 is. Of course, they do a lot of stuff, but they've sort of become the Yokai Watch studio, at least recently.
A little.
Although, R.I.P., it doesn't seem like we're getting any more of those recently.
Yeah.
But, oh well. All right, back to Dragon Quest. We'll finish up this part of the interview.
Right.
Yeah. we'll get to Dragon Quest XI eventually. But what are some of your favorite mechanics in Dragon Quest games? What do you like doing when you sit down with a Dragon Quest game? Do you like the ones with monster collectings or the job classes? Do you hang out at the casinos? What are some staples?
Ooh, I think you'll have a better answer than me, Sollosi, but I like gambling, so I like the casinos for definite. I will never gamble in real life, but you stick a video game casino in front of me, and that's hours and hours down the train. I think maybe my lack of experience is probably with the series is probably just holding me back a little bit because I love the monster collecting, and obviously, I haven't played any of the job systems games yet because they're 3 and 6, not 6, 7.
No. Yeah, you're right.
6 have 3 and 6. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, 3, 6, and 7. You were right the first time.
There you go. It's my ignorance shown already. But like, yeah, it's so those will probably go up there as well. But yeah, I'm sorry. I just like spending all my money at the casino and cheesing them. It's just so good. But yeah, and I also really like crafting. I think that 8 and 11 in particular do such a good job of having really good synthesis systems that are really easy to pick up. And really good at learning. So yeah, I think Dragon Quest makes a lot of things really simple and really accessible. I enjoy. So yeah,
I can get weird. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I just said Mike. You.
Right. I mean, I like most of the Dragon Quest games that I've played. So I mean, you put a job system in front of me, I will I will attempt and mess around with every job. But this. Like Dragon Quest jobs are less about catering to individual encounters and more about building the individual characters. Because like you can't change jobs on the fly. You always have to go back to Tower of Dharma or All Trades Abbey. And there isn't a lot of playing dress up with jobs except for, I guess, the 3DS version of Dragon Quest VII. So I like the job systems in those games don't hit me the same way that they do in a game like Bravely Default or Final Fantasy V. But I really like the Dragon Quest games that give you customizable skills. I thought they did a really good job in 8 and 11, especially since they communicate what you learn next a little bit better in the 3DS version of Dragon Quest 8. But the fact that they gave me a skill tree or a skill web in 11 that was fun to navigate and let you reset and play around again. Like the skill tinkering in 11 was really, really good. And that makes me more interested in a future Dragon Quest game that's like 11 than one that was only about monster recruiting or only about a job system. And as far as the diversions go in Dragon Quest games, I mean, I get my fill of Dragon Quest gambling by playing their gacha game in real life. So that's
not the answer.
Yeah, exactly. Let's not talk about that at all. It's
those tombola odds.
Yeah, but every time they have a game with Pachisi or what do they call them now? TNT. I've always enjoyed it. Yeah, I've always enjoyed those miniature board games that have pretty good rewards. And when I gamble in Dragon Quest games, it's usually because I'm just trying to earn as many tokens as possible for the best weapon available in the prize counter. So I don't get too deep into the gambling, but I always like those TNT boards. So if they were to revive those in a future Dragon Quest game, I would at least try to clear all of them once.
Nice.
In the theater rhythm game, they've got tons of them. And
what?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep. I think I've done 15 and there's still a couple more there. And every time you finish one, like another one pops up too. So it's like, I don't know how many they have in there, but it's well into the teens.
I thought 5 was a lot in the DS version of DQ5, but little did I know.
Yeah.
I've told Alana this before, but I think it's crazy that Dragon Quest gets their own theater rhythm. Final Fantasy got their own theater rhythm. There's a ton of DLC for other Square Enix games in Final Fantasy Theater Rhythm, but no Kingdom Hearts music. And so I was sure that they were going to do Theater Rhythm Kingdom Hearts like the same year as Kingdom Hearts 3 because that series has a ton of great music in it. And it never happened. My prophecy did not come true for that one, which is a little bit of a bummer.
It didn't, but there was still a Kingdom Hearts rhythm game that came out last year. So
yeah, but it's not
Theater Rhythm.
No,
yeah,
it's not. It was. I mean, even though Kingdom Hearts music is great, I thought that game was mostly disappointing to people. Am I wrong? Or
I think not to get off of Dragon Quest, but you have got people from Retro. We always go off tangent.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
It was disappointing to me, but I'm somebody who's like falling off of Kingdom Hearts very slowly, I think. So I think a lot of people liked it and a lot of people didn't, but it was more split than I was expecting. Yeah.
A Kingdom Hearts rhythm game would interest me more than a proper new Kingdom Hearts game. And the fact that one didn't totally deliver, just me being not really part of the Kingdom Hearts fandom. I don't know. I always thought it was so weird that we didn't get a theater rhythm game, and when they finally give us a rhythm game, it's not what we wanted. Anyway, maybe we should talk about Dragon Quest again.
Well, I was going to say, you were mentioning like job classes before, and two of my favorite examples of the job classes, besides 3, which really started it all, are 6 and 9. and in retrospect, that sounds weird, 6, 6, and 9. But that's not what I meant. Anyway, getting back to it, in 6, you've got this system where for every certain number of battles, you advance in a job class, and then you eventually learn different skills and spells, and that then stack as your character grows in new jobs. So in 9, they kind of take a step back and say, well, since there's multiplayer, local co-op multiplayer, we want to bring the uniqueness of your character out. So if you change classes, you're restricted to only spells of that particular class, and you can retain some of the skills, or most of the skills, just not the weapon skills, for those classes, and it just makes it more interesting in my opinion, because in 6 you can master every class and just have in your entire party just be gods, knowing every skill, every spell, get as high levels as you can, and just dominate. Whereas in 9, if you did that and there was multiplayer, every single person would just be too easy. Every single character would have the exact same skills. No one would be unique. So what I love about the fact that they restrict it in 9 is that you can now say, like, okay, if you're playing local co-op multiplayer, which I realize is rare, you get a bunch of buddies together. You say, okay, you be the gladiator. I'm going to be the priest. We need a paladin for Night Watch, and maybe another gladiator, and let's go tackle Legacy Boss. So now you've got like a unique set of characters with different skills or spells, rather, and it makes it more interesting in my opinion.
I really like the compromise they made for that system in the 3DS version of Dragon Quest VII, where you do retain skills for the base classes. So every character can permanently learn, heal and mid-heal from Priest, and probably Frizz and Sizz from Mage. I don't have a skill list in front of me. But every mid-tier class and every top-tier class were limited to only the skills in their class plus the level 1 base jobs. So it was very easy to have heal on every single character, but then your class choices and party design really matters once you start unlocking jobs beyond that first tier. I thought that was a smart way to handle it. And Yakuza Like a Dragon, the second best Dragon Quest game of the past 10 years. Their job system is inspired by Dragon Quest, and the way they have it is every job has 2 skills that will be permanently held over to every other job. So it's useful to level every job up to the 25 to 30 range, just so you can master the 2 carryover skills. But then beyond that, your job selection really matters. So I think maybe 9 is a little too rigid, and 6 and the PS1 original version of 7 is a little too exploitable and grindy. But you find a happy medium in there, like 3DS 7 or Yakuza Like a Dragon. That's those skills systems and job systems really impressed me.
Nice.
And for those people that still want to break the heck out of that game, you could go all monsters, because those skills permanently get learned, right?
I think so. I think
in the 3DS, yeah.
Yeah, in 3DS 7, the only monster I used a lot was Lizzie.
Yeah. Like the monster job classes, those teach skills permanently. But yeah, you got to do some work for that.
Yeah,
they give you a slime to start leveling up with those monster crystals, if my memory serves. But it is a bigger grind than using the human characters.
Oh yeah. All right. So like I said, we'll get to Dragon Quest XI soon. I promise. But we don't always get this. We don't always get the chance. And I was on with Austin, Liam, and I both done this, who co-hosts the DQFM podcast. I was on there this past spring, and he was like, oh, hey, you know what? I never get to talk to other podcasters. So he asked me a couple questions about podcasting, and I was like, oh, we don't really chat with other podcasters either. We've got fans, we've got friends, we've got people we meet on one website or Discord or whatever, but not always other people who actually do this more than once or twice. So I'm going to ask you a couple questions. What was your first podcast that you ever did?
Oh gosh, do we have the same answer for a lot of these questions? Mike, I think.
Definitely not for this first one, but probably many of the rest. Yes.
Oh, what was your first podcast then? I'm curious.
Well, when I was at university, our video games club had a podcast that went for about 30 episodes, and I was on one of them. It would have been probably 2006 or 2007, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun because the club basically we would have a topic that would be our discussion topic for about 30 minutes, and then we would spend the remaining 90 minutes playing a whole bunch of like Street Fighter 4 and Smash Melee and the regular things that a bunch of early 20-something video game players would play together. But
it sounds like you in 2006, I think. Yeah.
Right, yeah. I mean, in 2006, I was definitely bad at most fighting games, but when Capcom VSNK 2 came up, I would somehow clean up all the time because that was my PS2 fighter of choice for many years. And playing in that club is also how I got pretty good at Soul Calibur because we were playing. I think we were playing a lot of 2, and then Soul Calibur 3 came out when I was in college. I think.
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah.
Right. So I was on one episode of the University of Virginia Gamers Club podcast in 06 or 07.
Oh my goodness, I have to hunt that down. Yeah.
I was going to say, where could we hunt this down?
We were from the archive.
I think it's archived somewhere. The two club founders are two very, very good dudes named Bobby and Jay, who I pre-pandemic I would see at the same convention every year. Even though like again this was in the mid 2000s when I was in university. But I don't know if it's on iTunes or whatever. But that podcast is floating around somewhere. I think on the episode I was on, we talked about the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. Just to put a time to it.
Jeez, yeah. Okay, yeah. My answer is definitely your podcast. It's definitely retro. Yeah. I mean, I only really got into hobbyist games journalism in 2015, so yeah, retro was kind of something I wanted to do anyway. I listened to it a little bit before joining. It was only just new when I joined. It started May 2015, if I'm right, and then I joined August 2015, and then didn't get a chance to be on until April 2016. So that was my first. We're considerably better now, or I'm considerably better on that show now. But yeah, I haven't done too much otherwise.
I will say, listening to the first episodes of Retro Encounter, it was about, Trails in the Sky.
Trails in the Sky, yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't even on those episodes. I was in the group of 5 or 6 people that started the podcast, but I think my first episode of the show is episode 5.
Mm-hmm. I don't think I listened to the first one until like last summer, right when you were about 250. I was like, let me go back and listen to a couple of the early ones, see how this began. And they played some music under them talking, and it was horribly balanced, like just horribly balanced. Something you guys don't do anymore. But
yeah, I know who to blame for some of those early choices, but I will not. I'm not going to say so here.
I will definitely say though that gave me the idea for all our side quest episodes when we have different people on just chatting about stuff. I play the music, and it's probably I think I've got it now to about 30 decibels under the people talking, and that's worked out pretty good. So, but I got that idea from first episodes of your all's podcast. So
there you go.
Nice.
We still play music under podcasts for some of the other podcasts in RPG-Fan, but I also found the music for early episodes of Retro distracting, so so we stopped doing it when I took over the show.
So you're both on Retro Encounter quite a bit, obviously. Any other podcasts that you've done? I know, Mike, you were doing one during the early days of the lockdown.
Yeah, I started the second podcast during lockdown that it had about 15 or 16 episodes, and I and Alana was on one of those, and I thought it was good. I was happy with how it turned out, but it just became exhausting running 2 podcasts when just my mental and emotional stress during pandemic because of the pandemic, like generally was not good enough to sustain it. So Bravely Distance is officially on hiatus. But before I joined RPGFan in 2014, I was working on a different website where I was basically a forum ghoul that wrote a lot of news posts. And we tried to run a podcast for a few months, but the scheduling was really hard. I sort of wanted to do the podcast a certain way, and the guy that ran the site wanted to do it another way. And in fact, disagreements over the podcast are sort of why I basically ghosted them and applied to write for RPGFan and got accepted. And I didn't join RPGFan explicitly with the idea to join a podcast. I sort of wanted to maybe make appearances on the other two that they were running, but then I sort of got the idea. I think there is a room for a third podcast on RPGFan, but before I could even pitch it, one of the other guys that had joined at the same time I did pitched Retro Encounter, and I ended up sort of joining the group that ran that instead of whatever else I was planning. But as people in the website sort of came and went, I was the cheese standing alone that was still that was still on Retro, and I've been basically the showrunner for that podcast since early 2017.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, for about 2 years, it was a committee, and then since 2017, it's been mostly me, just bugging people, good people like Alana, to guest with me on the show.
He says bug, but I'm always willing. Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm surprised you didn't give a couple of other answers, but we've not done a lot of guesting. We are available. Like, this is a good chance for us to shill ourselves. Like, come talk to us.
Yeah,
but like
talking about shared experiences is only my favorite thing in the world. So please.
Yeah, yeah, but like obviously you said Bravely Distance. We have a mutual friend, Alex Inigo, who does Backlog Battle, and both Mike Sollosi and I have been on an episode. I've been on YouTube, which is terrifying for this. So yeah, I was on an episode of Backlog Battle, and we'll probably be on another one of those. Otherwise, it's just the rest of the RPG fan over, really, like Random Encounter, which is generally news, current gaming, and just whatever we're playing, and Rhythm Encounter, which has come and gone over the years, but it's back on like a steady run. There'll be an episode or two out with me on, probably when this goes up, about some recent series that I've gotten back into about music. Some of those we talk about RPG music. So yeah, I pop up on all the sites podcast essentially, and I'm always available to guest on other ones as well, like this and Backlog Battle.
Nice. So, have you ever had guests on your episodes? And if so, what are some of your favorite guests?
This is probably more of a you question, Mike, because I haven't interviewed anyone, but I know we've had a couple of people on, and I know recently, beginning of 2020, we did a special episode for Cthulhu Calls Christmas, or Does Christmas?
Cthulhu Saves Christmas. And, we had the two guys from Zeboyd Games on that episode, which gave me a chance to, fangirl a little bit about the two penny arcade RPGs that they made, both of which I really, really liked. And I've done a couple interviews for because I started out with RPGFan as part of the music section. We did a couple episodes of the music podcast Rhythm Encounter where we did interviews, and those were really fun. But usually Retro Encounter just sort of sticks with people that are part of the site that I sort of that I know, and that we can have a lot of discussions before and after than surprising guests. But I am opening to having more guest-ish type of episodes on Retro. So maybe down the line, but I don't have very much to say other than that Zeboyd episode. Which
I really did enjoy that one, because that came out, I think I did the review for RP Gamer on that and had it like 2 weeks before and finished it like the day before Christmas. So that was a great game. I love those guys. I love their work. So
yeah, and we're actually bringing that back a little bit. We're doing a couple episodes on Cosmic Star Heroine next month for Retro Encounter. Total coincidence that we're talking about Zeboyd here. But
nice.
Yeah, so I am going to play through that game again for the podcast, probably in a few weeks.
All right. Yeah, that was a good game. A little bit buggy on my Vita when I first got it, but it worked out. I gave it a couple updates. So you ever have a podcast that has absolutely just failed, that you've had to re-record or just trash?
Yeah, we have, haven't we? I don't think I've ever been on one with you that has failed, but I know that you've had a couple. One that I was on with one of our former, most prolific guests, Rob Ferner, our recording messed up halfway through, and we realized, and we were like, oh goodness. And the thing is that episode, I think it was the first RPGs episode that we did. So what was your first RPG? Tell us about it. That was an episode that scheduled people in 4 different time zones. So one of them was in Korea, and we had to reschedule for quite a ways back. It happens, like, and I think Rob in particular felt really bad about it. But yeah, it's just one of those things that you have to deal with, and it's really hard though, because I know Sollosi, you've had a couple. Like, there's been a couple. I remember Symphony of the Night was one, wasn't it? One of the earliest ones I remember. Yeah,
it was in the first year of the podcast. I wasn't on that episode, but they had to completely redo and re-record that one. Also, another one that I wasn't on, but turned out very well anyway, was one of the Lufia 2 episodes. That Leona was hosting, and they had to redo that one. There's one episode that I don't want to say which one it is, that the recording came out so poorly. They weren't able to record. It also had a huge cross-Pacific time zone thing. So I ended up just editing these two mismatched tracks together as best I could and putting it out there. I'm not going to say which one it is, but that's when I sort of wish we could go over. And Alana, I'm not sure if I told you this or not. Maybe myself or one of the other panelists did. But we've done 4 quiz show episodes for Retro Encounter. Mm-hmm. And they're recorded in a segmented way, so like it's not all one recording in one go. But for one of them, I realized that my recording had failed when we were partway through it. So so with my co-host and the contestants, we basically all said, okay, all right, we're going to start this one over. We're only 8 questions in, but we have to recreate those answers exactly. Okay, so just so we're not, just so we're not compromised for time or anything.
Oh no!
And it didn't end up affecting the outcome of the game, but we did have to record about maybe a full 10 minutes of a quiz show episode.
I didn't know that. Yeah, it's definitely not one of the ones I was on then.
And Alana, you were on 2 of them, so it should be easy to figure out which one it was.
I mean, I think I know what one it is. Yeah, I remember. I remember you have told me this before. Yes.
Oh, I did. Okay. Yeah. But so I have had to re-record things. And the podcast has, even for episodes I wasn't on, but and there was one interview that we did for Rhythm Encounter that we ended up getting completely deleted, and I felt so bad about it that I don't know, like I actually was like too embarrassed to talk to the guests about it afterwards. I don't even want to go into that. But then that was before Retro Encounter started. But yeah, we've had some die out or some that we had to re-record. But I don't think it's ever set us back or made me want to quit. Even though sometimes if I'm editing an episode at 2 a.m. that was due at midnight, and maybe then I feel like quitting sometimes. But I've managed to keep it mostly weekly for a few years now.
Nice. And Platy, you have some experience with that as well, right?
Oh, we've had some on the RPG Backtrack and RP Gamer. We had some problems. I think that's why Phil finally was like, you know what, I'm gonna just stream, because either I'm on or I'm off.
Yeah,
I'll just stream. If it's not working, I'll stream tomorrow. That's fine, no big deal. We ended up doing a Muso episode. I think we recorded 5 or 6 different nights, and it just wouldn't record, and it got deleted, and just we kept redoing things. And in the time that got recorded, Phil replayed one of the games and put like 60 hours into it in a month. And by the time we recorded that spot, the episode itself ended up being like 6 hours long. It was
oh my god,
kind of ridiculous. At one point, he's like, "So I think this is going to be 6 hours. You guys want to record like a second ending, and like we'll just split it up?" And we were all like, "No, it's done. Just put it out there." So it's funny because you'll hear people in hour 1 like come back in hour 5 talking about something else, like the past 4 hours didn't occur, but because it was so.
I'm not a Dynasty Warriors or Samurai Warriors guy, so being stuck in a never-ending podcast about Muso feels like hell to me. Like that could be a circle of hell.
It was only the licensed ones too. It was only what?
Oh my god!
So you're getting into
Zelda and
Pirate Warriors, maybe One Piece action.
Zelda,
the Dragon Quest, Zelda,
Dragon Quest, yeah.
Okay.
I think that was it. I think
all right.
We spent 6 hours on like 4 games.
I was gonna say.
Like the Lord of the Rings extended edition of podcasts.
Oh yeah, yep. And I'm sure we repeated ourselves multiple times, because by the end of it, I mean, we were recording some parts almost a month after the beginning of others, and it was just like whatever. We'll just talk about this again, because who knows?
I mean, I've broken this rule so many times that it makes me a complete hypocrite. But I always get nervous if a podcast goes longer than I don't know 90 minutes, because like I feel like, man, who wants to listen to an hour and 45 minutes about Psaro from Dragon Quest IV or what have you? And I'm usually wrong. There is an audience, and I've never gotten a ton of complaints about the length of episodes in retro, but I feel like that there's something just really nice about a podcast appearing on your feed and it says 55 minutes. It's like, oh, that's great. That's
Get that in between a work meeting.
that's an episode of Law and Order. That's nothing. So
Nice.
Put it at like 1.7 speed, and it's over in half an hour.
Oh yeah.
I usually listen to podcasts around 1.2 because I don't notice the difference. And it adds up if you listen to hours and hours of them like I do. But
but
yeah, 1.7. Oh boy, I would have to replay things because I would lose track of what people were saying. But
I can work my way up to that with podcasts that I listen to frequently. Like, okay, my wife's even like, "What do you do?" She goes, "It's just chipmunks." At that point, I was like, "No, I got it. I know what that is." But I probably listened to like 80 hours of them on 50 other episodes. So, you know.
Yeah, and again, I say I like short to medium sized episodes, but I definitely have listened to 10 hours of Giant Bomb's Game.
Yeah, I was gonna say
like probably let's say 7 of those years, 8 of those years, some indefensible number. But I think I like medium length episodes, but then I record long episodes anyway. I'm a hypocrite.
It happened. All right, we're going to get to Dragon Quest XI. I'll put these two questions together. For each of you, what's your favorite part and what's the worst part about podcasting?
I'll go first.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay,
yeah, of course.
I think my favorite part about podcasting is people and perspectives. Like, because my favorite thing, again, I love a lot of different things. I have diverse interests, but I think the most fun part of all of my interests is talking about them with other people. I've always been like that. It's like going to the movie theater and seeing a movie is fun, but it's more fun when you see a movie with friends and then go out for ice cream and talk about the movie with over ice cream. And like that, again, talking about shared experiences is my favorite thing. And the fact that I have an opportunity to run a podcast and talk to a bunch of fun, interesting, smart people and hear all the different perspectives. And there's always something that someone says that I never would have thought to say in every podcast. That's just it's great. It's me taking in new information and new perspectives and having fun celebrating or roasting whatever game or topic we're dealing with. So my favorite thing is the people. And my least favorite thing, I talked about late nights editing, but I think that, editing is part of the art of podcasting. So I'm going to change my answer a little bit. My least favorite thing is scheduling, because we've scheduled people from multiple parts of Europe and South Korea and Australia and both coasts. And RPGFan has all kinds of people working there. There's people like me that will call in sick to work to record a podcast if necessary, and other people that have very specific times where they're available because they have kids or sort of a rigid job schedule. And so like dealing with time zones and everyone's schedules and trying to get the 4 people that signed up for an episode, because we have sort of Google Docs and Trello cards of where people say what episodes they're interested in. Like scheduling them can sometimes be a struggle, and it's always fun when everyone's in front of a microphone and we get to talking about something. But getting everyone to the microphone at a specific time can not be fun at all.
Yeah. I'm going to riff off your good answer for both of mine, although I probably have a little bit of an easier job because retro is kind of your baby anyway. So like I don't do a lot of some of the stuff that you do. My favorite part is similar to you, but in particular, like I love it when I'm on an episode that I've played the game for and one person hasn't, and I love watching them, and
yes.
they're like watching them like go through the motions I went through like 6, 7, 8 years ago. Like I'll get this in a couple of months, and I get it so often, and I'm like, I can't wait until they hit this plot point, this plot point. I also like being on the receiving end of that, and I always remember like the Danganronpa in particular, like Sollosi just going to us, oh, don't forget when you get to this bit, let me know when you get to this bit, and I'm like,
yeah,
oh, why are you doing this? It's like, why? And I'm like really nervous, and you get to that bit and you're like, oh, this is why. Then you just make a load of notes, you're like, well, we're going to bring this up on the episode. But yeah, like I love it when people like very audibly and visually fall in love with something. Like it's really cool to see them like really develop some good thoughts on it. I like being told when I'm wrong as well sometimes, or when anybody else is wrong. Like I like to see that people disagree, as long as it's kind of healthy. But yeah, I just love that kind of discussion element, but mostly when people like, it's really nice to see someone fall in love with something and think, oh, I don't want to say it's validating, but like I guess it's validating, isn't it? Like, I was right all along. This was really good. But the worst part about it for me is I don't host too often. But when I do, like, I'm extremely conscious of, one, making sure people are comfortable. Like, I know some people, I can be like this. Some people are like really nervous on the microphone and things, and I really worry about them being left behind in the discussion, and that stresses me out. But I also, maybe more, I don't want to say I'm a control freak, but I might be a control freak. And if things start to go off the rails, I'm a little bit lost. I'm like, okay, oh my God, I need to pull it back in somehow. And you're really good at this, Sollosi. And I think that's why you're such a good host, is like, you're good at like even though we can go off in like millions of different tangents, like, you're really good at bringing it back. And that's something I really struggle with, because I'm always like, my note taking when I host is so like, you know, bullet points, this, that, and that. But yours is a lot more ad lib. So it's like,
I don't structure episodes rigidly. I'll usually come up with a few bullet points, but it'll be like probably less than 10, and they're more like, you know, they're like the pirate code. They're more like guidelines than actual rules. So yeah. I've only told that joke to Alana again 20 times. Again, I only have like 11 things that I ever say, but we'll get to Dragon Quest 11 eventually, I promise. But I'm really rigid about scheduling. Like, I really care about getting the episode out every week, but within the confines of the episode when I host, which is most of the time, I host most of the episodes of Retro. I'm okay with the conversation meandering as long as we find our way to the finish line at the end. So I'm definitely a control freak with parts of Retro Encounter, but not every second of it necessarily. And Alana's selling herself short. I mean, Retro Encounter is my baby. It is what I do. It's 90% of what I do for RPGFan. But Alana is she takes part in almost every written feature. She writes reviews. She proofreads. She was the reviews head for a while. Alana's not just. I'm just a podcaster. Alana is a podcaster and more. I know how uncomfortable this is making you. I'm sorry.
Oh, never mind. Let's talk about Dragon Quest 11.
Maybe. All right. So, yeah. I mean, I guess. Go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say it took us more than 69 minutes.
That's okay. There we go. Bring that back to Liam's 6 and 9.
Well, I'm reminded of like the Game of Thrones episodes of like South Park, where they're making fun of how long it takes the dragons to get to Westeros.
Oh God!
So now here we are. Dragon Quest 11 has arrived. Yeah, it has arrived in Westeros.
All right. So yeah, as a Dragon Quest podcast, we actually should talk about the game. Have loved getting to know you and some of the things about you, but we're here to cover Dragon Quest 11, 11S. Whatever you played tonight. So, Liam, what do we got as our first question for everybody?
So when did you first play Dragon Quest 11?
You go first. I think we're both at the same time.
Yep, I think so too, because we were talking about it as we were playing it at roughly the same time. It came out in September 2018 in North America, where I live, and right when it came out, I was playing another game for the Retro Encounter podcast.
Me too.
I was really concerned about not finishing that game in time, so I pledged to myself, all right, I'm going to finish Suikoden 2 and then record 2 podcasts about it. And then after I roll credits on Suikoden 2, I'll finally play Dragon Quest 11, which taunted me from my coffee table for about 2 weeks before I finally got into it. So look at the North American release date, add 2 weeks, and that's when I started playing it.
Yeah, it was a little bit after you. I picked it up on release day. I started in early October 2018, so like it was after the same podcast and after a vacation, and played the bulk of it after a breakup. So it was a pretty good game to play around that time. Also platinumed it in 99 hours. So yeah,
wow.
One of the
I also platinumed it. Okay, I can't verb today apparently. I also got the platinum trophy on it, but I don't remember the hour count. I think my final hour count was in the 110, 115 range.
Ooh,
I think.
Yeah,
but I'd have to check.
Liam, did you platinum it?
I did not. I have.
I've only platinumed about 10 games ever, and I think more than half of them are visual novels where you get the platinum trophy by seeing all 5 endings or what have you. So it's uncommon that I platinum something, but for me, Dragon Quest XI was worth it.
Yeah, me too.
I do plan on platining them at some
See, it's
point.
hard.
It is difficult.
That's not
it
an
is.
easy word.
No.
I'm just gonna say platying them. Platinuming. I still can't say it when I try to think it. All the Dragon Quest games I can, except for Dragon Quest Heroes 1, because that's a pain in the ass boss fight for Zoma. But I really honestly only have 2 platinums, and it's Shovel Knight and Day of the Tentacle. And that's because I've played those games so much that by the time I got to the PS4, I was just breezing through them.
Word to the wise, get the Nonary Games collection for PS4, because that's just beating both games and finding everything in each puzzle gets you the platinum. Nice. Those games are amazing, and they're a very nice, easy, gettable platinum.
But I also have kids, and I can definitely say there are certain Dragon Quest titles that came out around the time each of my kids was born, and I haven't played them as much as I've wanted. So I'm hoping when the new Switch comes out and I get that finally after all these years, I'll have some more time to play. Dragon Quest Heroes 2 and Dragon Quest Builders 2, and hopefully whatever platinum equivalent on Switch get that.
Did you play 11 when it came out, Liam?
11, the original?
Take a while. Yeah.
No, I played it right when it came out because I bought the PS4. I had the PS4 specifically for Dragon Quest Heroes. And that I was just recently remembering. I had the game like 2-3 weeks before I had the system because I couldn't afford the system yet. So everyone's like talking about how much they love Dragon Quest Heroes, and I'm like, damn it, I can't play it yet. But there's a pretty sizable amount of consoles I've started buying specifically for Dragon Quest games. Not everyone, but a handful of them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a one system gamer, or I should say one game per system guy. Before I get a system, there has to be at least 5 to 10 games I want to play on it, because otherwise I can't just pay the cost.
Right.
But I mean, one of my friends bought a Switch just to play Monster Hunter Rise earlier this year. So I know people are out there. It's just a different mindset than me, I'm afraid.
Yeah, and I'm the same way too. It's just that if there's a Dragon Quest game, that number 5 gets reduced to 1.
For me, Dragon Quest maybe counts as 2 games, but I can't say I'm quite that level of dedication.
Yeah, your discussion just reminded me. I actually have played Builders 2 because I actually reviewed it for RPGFan.
Oh,
oops. Yeah, I like that game a lot less than most people though. So maybe we shouldn't say anything about that.
I had not played 1 until I played around with it a little bit and just not really enjoying it. I didn't want the review code for Builders 2. I was like, let somebody who's actually going to play this and hopefully like it. And then the second somebody took the review code, I was like, oh cool. So I ended up with the Vita of all things, plowing through the first Builders in 10 nights, and then immediately went into number 2, and over the course of about 5 weeks, played 100 hours of those games.
Jeez, yeah, it is a lot better.
I had fun with it, but I never went back. I'm like, nope. I'm no Minecraft person. I'm no builder. That's just the way.
I love the creativity. I know what you're gonna say. I love the creativity. I love the creativity, but I suck at it.
Yep.
So we've done our joke a couple of times that we just build dirt castles. But if you go to the Facebook group for Dragon Quest Builders, they have some, and we've mentioned this a bunch of times too, they have some of the most ridiculously amazing designs, beautiful. These people, they should be in architecture and structural engineering if they're not in real life, because they've crafted some amazing designs. They're talking cathedrals and giant castles. I've seen some stuff that's in the sky. They built it in the sky. They probably built platforms to get up to it and then destroyed the platforms, and now you've got a big castle in the sky,
so they're building their own Zenithia essentially.
Yeah, there you go.
Much.
Yeah, some of them just the most beautiful things, and a handful of times I'm even like, is that Dragon Quest Builders 2? And it ends up being yes, it is. It's some of the designs and the people. It's a real talent for creativity in that group, and it's something I haven't seen in the other Minecraft-y type of build type games. But
I'm sure it's out there. We don't exactly hang out on the Minecraft servers, though.
That's true, but I mean, like, I'm talking like graphical representation of it. Like the Builders 2 is really taking it to the next level.
Yeah, I do not count myself among those creative types that can create impressive things in builder type games. But one person on RPGFan, I believe Dragon Quest Builders 1 and 2 are the only Dragon Quest games he's played.
Correct. I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. It's not a secret, but we'll let him keep his privacy here. But it's I mean, that's not a choice I would make. But I also love seeing the incredible stuff people can create in games like Builders 2 and Minecraft and even The Sims. It's a different kind of brain than I have, though. So I haven't finished either Builders game, although I do own the first one.
All right, well, bringing this back to Dragon Quest.
Oh, right, Dragon Quest 11.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, that's all right. We get off track here. It's fine. It's fine. You can bring it back though. Favorite characters from Dragon Quest 11. What do you like?
There's a really easy answer, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, there's one person who is just a delight every single moment there on screen.
Smiling Knight.
Yeah, I mean, he's here to bring back sunshine. He's here to bring back sunshine and laughter to the land.
Yes.
Yes.
So Sylvando is pure joy in video game side character form, and he's your best source of like oomph spells and group heals for a while too. So it's not like he's a total gimmick. Again, because he is so flamboyant and silly, I think it would have been easy and lazy to make him like a joke character who's kind of like, you know, like a Dragon Quest 3 goof off that maybe can't turn into a sage. Like that would be useless. But no, they made him strong and smart and likable, and like in both in the context of the game and in the context of playing the game. And Sylvando's just the best. This is a pro Sylvando house, I'm afraid.
Forever.
No,
yeah.
We're that way too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they balance that positivity out so well, don't they? Because it could be really overbearing. Like we've seen, even in Dragon Quest, we've seen so many characters like be that positive and that peppy, and like they just do it so well with Sylvando. Like he's positive, but he can get serious about it, and he like everybody just accepts that for who he is. Like it's just really great. I think it's handled really well in the story as well, and. Yeah, I mean, come on, that parade is just phenomenal, is it not? Like,
right.
and right before the parade, Hendrik is in your party, and when he realizes that Sylvando was his former school friend, the look of shock on his face is one of the best faces in the whole game.
Yes.
What did you do with your life, Hendrik?
Yeah, it's like shocked, devastated Hendrik is just, and Hendrik hadn't even been with you that long, but that just immediately made me like Hendrik more, seeing him interact with Sylvando.
Yeah, there is this like hilarious moment where he's like, "You two are acquainted," or something like that, where he's just like so confused. Like there's just a whole like confused sexuality thing going on with him.
and oh man, I thought later in the game when there's a side quest, or actually it's part of the main quest, where Sylvando has to confront his dad and reconnect with him somewhat. I was really worried that it was going to be like it was going to be a really awkward talk about Sylvando's flamboyance and possibly his sexuality that would play out like a poorly handled episode of a sitcom. But no, it like they say that they're like father, son. And the father's like, "So, have you accomplished your goal yet? Because you're still a knight." And Sylvando's like, "Oh, you've always thought the same way about me." And it's actually just beautiful and wholesome, and you get on with your quest. And then Sylvando's dad has to babysit Sylvando's entire entourage, which is another great shocked reaction moment.
Yeah.
No, all those things are great, and honestly, Sylvando he's the number one for me in this game. I'm second act Serena is right there with him.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. For your 10 hours or so of Super Serena. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Super Serena. Mm-hmm. And she's got a lot going on in that act too. So emotionally, but I mean, honestly, that doesn't play out anywhere else. Sylvando is all the way straight through, just amazing. And what's funny is out of nowhere, my 5-year-old the other day is really like, Daddy, when we get home, I want to play Dragon Quest 11. I'm like, what?
You're like, lead on, darling.
So loaded up the save from December of 2018 and just letting him at like level 85 walk around and go kill things. And he does not like Sylvando because he doesn't do the best moves in the game.
Oh.
He doesn't?
Well, you know what?
Like what?
I'm so over leveled, and everywhere I just let him run around, and I just have it set to auto battle for everybody. Because I mean, he's 5; he just wants to run around and play.
Well, so Sylvando's a bit of a jack of all trades kind of character. He's really useful, but he doesn't have explosive spells like Third Act Veronica. Or everything that Jade can do like that.
But it's pretty funny that he complains that Hendrik never does anything because he's the slowest.
So slow,
Like he's running around as like 85, 89 level characters. No matter where I put them, I mean, they're beating
you're one
like
hitting.
People. Yeah.
You're one hitting before Hendrik can actually move. That's hilarious. But you mentioned Veronica. Veronica is actually one of my favorites as well. She's kind of that what do they call it? Tsundere characters done right.
Yeah.
Because she's got the attitude of a Maribel, but it's not annoying. and she's got a backstory, and it's interesting. Like the whole the monsters tried to suck her magic, but they sucked her age, and then she can't. She has to like regrow, but she's an adult mind in a child's body. It's like it's amazing. She's like she's a twin, but she doesn't look like a twin anymore. And so like the whole character, I'd be pissed off too if I had to read if people would treat me like a child, but I'm like I'm an adult mind in a child's body. I'd be that way too. But so what are you guys' thoughts on Veronica?
I like Veronica a lot. Yeah, I think Serena and Veronica, with what happens to them as well, like they work really well as a sibling duo. And I don't know whether I'd like Veronica less if she didn't. I'm assuming spoilers are on the table, right? Everyone listening to this should have played Dragon Quest 11. If Veronica.
We've already mentioned that Hendrik joins the party, so that's a spoilers at least after hour 45 or something.
Yeah, I mean, like a character joining the party is less of a spoiler than a character dying, right? But yeah, like Veronica's death at the end of Act 1 is like, I don't know whether I would. I found her complaining a tiny bit annoying, but like I think the whole getting her back in Act 3 and then reliving it all again, like really helped her character like a ton, and I think she's great. I love sibling dynamics in RPGs anyway, so Serena and Veronica just being opposites of each other is perfect. So I mean Dragon Quest 11's probably got it's probably got one of the best RPG casts ever anyway. So like I think everyone's a bit of a winner.
I love all 8 of them. I really do. And like Veronica is the kind of character that like I going into this is like, oh, I'm not gonna like this one. Like I never like the little kids characters in Trails games or Tales games or a lot of games that rhyme with ales probably. But but she ended up being like sassy and talkative, but not in a way that really got under my skin. And if you had told me at the beginning that, one of these characters is going to die tragically and it's going to be around the midpoint, I'm not sure I would have guessed Veronica. She's almost like the kind of character that you expect to react to a death rather than be the one that you lose. And it really comes as a shock because you're basically reassembling your party bit by bit. It's almost like Dragon Quest IV, where you meet the new guy Hendrik, and then you sort of recruit them in re-recruit them in reverse order almost.
Right.
But then like getting to is it Arborea?
Their hometown.
Getting to their hometown or just outside their hometown, expecting Veronica to be at the gate ready to rejoin, and instead seeing her corpse is such a brutal moment, and I think it enhances her. And I mean, this is maybe going on a sidetrack a little bit, and I apologize, but like Dragon Quest XI to me it has it's a game with a lot of regret in it. Like and there's a lot of like grandpa regret energy in it because there's the scene where Rab is like mourning what happened to his daughter and their kingdom, and all the scenes with the flashbacks with Serenica, devastated about what happened between her and Erdwin. I remember if I'm getting his name right. And again, the subtitle of the game is In Search of Lost Time, which it got translated as Echoes of an Elusive Age, and is the same title as the Marcel Proust novel that also has a lot of flashback and regret in it. And like the opportunity to see this play out in Act 2, and then like and have all these bad feelings and negative feelings about what happened to the world, and then getting the opportunity to fix it in Act 3 and creating a timeline where Veronica can be alive again. It's like it's a lot of people that I know that the nature of Act 3 rubs some people the wrong way, but I think that giving an opportunity to make the world, like to bring sunshine back into the world like Sylvando wants, and give Veronica a life again, I think is one of the is such a big part of the story that just makes me like Veronica way more.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, it's like the perfect quantum leap moment where you're putting right what once went wrong.
And they treat it with seriousness too, because when you're about to go back, like your team like tries to stop you, and they're like, "Hey, think about this. This is like you could be screwing up with time itself. That's a bad look."
Hey, think about this. You could be screwing up Act 2, Serena.
Right. Think about this. Like Serena's skill tree will never be the same.
Oh my god.
And it never was.
It never was. No.
So sorry for jumping ahead so much like that. But yeah, right. Veronica's cool.
No.
Yeah, they're all great. I think one person who maybe gets a bit more flack, and maybe one of the characters, like if you told me any of the characters were going to die, like I probably would have assumed it was Eric, right?
Yeah.
I really like Eric a lot, actually. Not just because, like, I mean, if you want to talk about breaking the game, then if there's one character who can break the game, it's Eric. But like,
if you want single target damage, he is your man. That is for damn sure.
Oh yeah. But yeah, I just really like, and I'm kind of amazed that like him and his sister might get like a spin-off game, or are going to get a spin-off game out of it. But like, I really like the story with Mia and Guild Digger. Like the Sniffelheim arc is really good, and it really, like, up until that point, I really like the buddy dynamic between him and the Luminary anyway. But like, I just really liked it. I really, really enjoyed getting like a bit of emotional depth as well. So yeah, I think he's a little bit underloved, and I really like him. He's great.
Yeah, there's a huge, especially on Instagram, there's a huge like Eric Stan community.
Right. I know of some people who ship the Luminary and Eric as well. So it's like,
I was gonna say, if we get in the fanfic, you're gonna have a lot of Eric.
Yeah.
Eric and Hendrik in the Luminary as well.
Oh yeah, I can
see that. Mm-hmm.
So, but that's another episode. So moving on. So the music has always seemed to catch flack in this game. Do you feel it's warranted?
I think I do. I mean, I could throw shade at Sugiyama all day for various reasons, but both because like his soundtrack work has, over the years, the games have had almost fewer original songs, and I would say less imagination. And then there's and then going into him as a person is not a great look either. But I mean, I thought it was disappointing that a lot of really exciting scenes in Dragon Quest XI that could have really used dynamic music just had the same track you've heard 20 times play through it anyway. And some of the best music in Dragon Quest XI are arrangements of older pieces, like the castle music from Dragon Quest V is
the metal castle music.
Yeah, exactly. In the Académie de Medaille or whatever it is.
That's it.
So like the fact that so much music is reused and the track list isn't very long, and sometimes the music almost feels like it clashes with the scene instead of if it had been written dynamically or written in a more tailored way. Could have been really awesome. It makes me, it's like, Square Enix works with a lot of talented composers. Like, how old are you, Sugiyama? Like,
retire already.
Hey, in 2019, the Emperor retired instead of waiting until he died. So that's
the Emperor.
Retired Pope these days, whatever.
Yeah, we have popes and emperors retiring. So maybe a composer could consider that as well. Just saying.
Maybe, just potentially. Yeah, you stole basically my thunder there. I think like it deserves the flack, but I think it's mostly because I don't know how many tracks are on the Dragon Quest XI soundtrack, and maybe this is colored even more by the fact that like I haven't played S and I haven't listened to a ton of the orchestrated music. But also, imagine your first Dragon Quest game being because Dragon Quest VIII came out on the PS2 with the fully orchestrated soundtrack, and then none of the others have had that since until 11S. So it's like I was spoiled out of the gate, and then every game since I've had to be like, oh well, I guess I'll just have MIDI trumpets for the rest of my life. Like it's just the world map theme in particular I cannot stand, because you hear it for about 70 hours and it's like and then it changes and I'm like, oh, this is different. No, it's still bad. Like, but like I think it's what's like Mike said, it is more about quantity. Like it feels like there's only like 10 or 15 tracks sometimes, because some of them sound really similar. And another one of I think the Hoto music is also from Dragon Quest 3, isn't it? Or it's from another game.
Yeah, that's the Japan theme.
Yeah, that's like one of the that's one of the only other ones that I really like. But yeah, like the towns all having the same music, which again is another Dragon Quest thing. Like the town music from Dragon Quest 8 is great. But like, yeah, it's a mix of like the fact that we got the lower quality version in the first place, and then you're reusing the same music over and over and over again for an 100-hour RPG when, you know, these games used to be like maybe 30-40 hours tops. So yeah, I do think it is warranted. I don't think it takes away too much. I think the emotional impact, sometimes, but it's never gone in the way of total enjoyment for me. Whereas I know some people have literally stopped playing the game because of the music. And I'm like, but everything else is so good. You could just
exactly. It's an even more obvious like turd in the punch bowl, because Dragon Quest XI nails it.
I do not want to go to a potluck with you. Yeah,
I'm pretty. I bet Sylvando put the turd in the punch bowl.
Right.
Oh my god.
With his bare hand.
It's like no, that's not sherbet in there. But anyway, because Dragon Quest XI nails it on almost every other point, the fact that the music is such a disappointment is all the more obvious. And again, like just consider retirement, Sugiyama-san, please.
He's got so many more people to piss off.
Right.
just like when the interview cycle for Dragon Quest XII has, I hope they don't ask him any questions about, you know, imperialism in Japan.
Oh God, yeah. I wonder with Dragon Quest XII though, because a lot of people are already worried it seems to be going in a different direction, they actually will take the leap. Maybe.
Well,
I don't know.
We barely have a logo and a subtitle.
I know.
People are getting way ahead of themselves. Ahead of themselves.
I think he needs to take the leap into the next into the next world.
I was wondering where you were going to go with that.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think I honestly think he's going to stick around until like.
Yeah, I do too.
He's a lifer. He's he's going to be ruining Dragon Quest music.
I mean, if you're only spending, a few hours, tweaking a few old songs, then why not?
That's true. They should just bring in a new composer.
He's got to put a lot of
just,
effort into doing it.
Yeah, license him for the beginning, the opening track, and then bring in a new composer.
If the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters are any indication, Square Enix has a lot of people they can call to remix old music from the 16-bit era and 8-bit era and make it incredible. So I think he would be so easy to replace. Because of Square Enix's track record, that it's completely on him, which is why I'm only encouraging him to maybe spend some time with his grandchildren.
Or you know what? Don't even tell him. Just
he won't know.
Like, no, 11's gonna be the last one, man.
Yeah. Thanks for the tracks, and then don't use any of them. Hire a new composer. He's not gonna play the game. He's like in his 90s. Anyway, moving on.
The obligatory Sugiyama punch for retro. Yep.
Bury him.
Bury it. Nice.
So, you know what? Thinking about
we're just laughing.
Bury that one alive.
We're just laughing at each other, roasting someone that isn't here. This is the Statler and Waldorf of Slime episodes.
Yep.
Yeah, he's welcome to come on if he wants to.
Oh my god.
We'll throw that open invitation out there. So, Alana, you already said this, but have anyone has played Dragon Quest XI S?
I really want to. I technically own it because I have an Xbox, so I have it on Game Pass. I really, really want to. Maybe I will. Maybe me and my partner could do that at some point, actually, because I don't think either of us have replayed it. But that's a good idea. But yeah, like I haven't played it. Sollosi, have you played it? I don't think you have.
No,
have you?
I have not. I own it on Switch. It is on my shelf, but I have not gotten to it yet. I do not know when I'll get to it yet. But I love that game so much that I will feel the siren song sometime, but I can't say when, because I have like 3 games I'm supposed to play for the podcast in 5 weeks, so it's just not going to be this year, I think.
No,
yeah, like you too. I play so many different games that it's like hard to be like, okay, let me just pencil this one in for another 100 hours.
Right, yeah. We could play the 2D version, which is apparently way shorter. Like we could play it all in whatever the original was, not even the DS.
And you know what? It is shorter, but I got caught up. So I did play it. I played it. I haven't even reached the end of Act 1, and I'm 25 hours in.
Oh, God.
But I will say the casino took a lot of that.
Oh, okay, right.
I think probably 5 of those 25 hours was while we've been podcasting. I would just be like, let me pick this up and do some casino work while we're just recording tonight. And it was always 11S. Like that, I'll just do that.
I mean, that is appealing in some way, but then I won't see Hendrick's dumb face when he realizes who Sylvando is. And I'm not sure that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
You get a little bubble, though, with like an exclamation mark or something. You can do the imagination work. Come on.
All right. That's intriguing.
When you play the 2D mode, is the voice acting still there?
Nope.
I don't think it is. No,
right.
okay, yeah. I can't imagine that.
That would be inauthentic.
Yeah, yes.
Retro experience.
And then no dancing animations either.
Oh,
but horse racing.
Oh yeah, 2D horse racing.
But it's not.
It's not. Yeah.
2D.
No, they just
yank you right back into the 3D.
What?
Racing.
Yeah.
I'm interested to go the whole way and be like, okay, well, what else does this? Because that was jarring.
It's too difficult to render 2D horse racing.
Right.
Just take Excite Bike.
It's not like the NES
put a horse right in there.
That would be amazing. A reskinning of Excite Bike with a horse.
Oh my god!
At the same speed.
I mean, they made so much for that it blows my mind that they probably. I mean, some intern could have probably done that, like in a week. Hey, buddy, we just need a horse. Like, it doesn't have to be the same path. It doesn't have to be the same anything. Just here's a horse sprite. Nice. You got Sylvando.
It's like the opposite of the South Park Stick of Truth game, where at one point in the game you're suddenly transported into an 8-bit world. This time they suddenly transport you back into 2017 3D when you're playing in a 16-bit approximation.
Right. Oh, man.
All right. So none of us have really put much time into it. I mean, like I said, I got all the party members, but that was it. That's as far as I've made it. And yes, it did feel a lot shorter. I think I just spent time grinding more than I needed to, and the casino sucked me up. But yeah, maybe that would have gotten me going quicker. And then you get the whole the side quests with the little guys, the tockles.
Oh yeah, revisiting the old games.
Yeah. So that takes time. So
they removed it.
That's another.
They removed a few things, like the crossbow shooting quest isn't in the game anymore. But then they give you a whole. But they give you this whole new collection and a new town to visit. So it's not like a total loss.
No. I think, and you get the orchestral music,
and I think more side quests and more equipment. So it's probably the definitive way to play the game now. But
there's more dress up too.
Yeah, is there a 2D fish mode when you're in fish mode?
I guess you won't know yet, would you? Yeah,
one of the other best surprise faces in the game was suddenly, boom, you're a fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now we got a luminary fish plushie. That's a thing.
Oh, really?
That's fabulous.
Oh, that's totally a thing.
Oh man.
So what are your most memorable in-game moments playing Dragon Quest XI?
Good grief! Wow.
one that happened to me very early was you briefly go back in time and visit your adoptive grandfather, Chalky.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
He tells you where he hid some of your belongings that you had as a baby, and you needed to sort of find out where you have to go next, and that's nice. But I was not expecting this incredibly resonant, sentimental moment only a few hours in, where you're talking to the younger version of yourself, and then your grandfather, who just has, who seems like the nicest old man ever in the history of fiction, instantly recognizes you, realizes that something supernatural is happening, and is just so immediately accepting of you. It's like, is this game gonna make me like well into tears because I meet my grandpa 5 hours in? This is like, what nonsense is this? And like I realized that I was about to get into something really special when a small moment like that hit me so early on.
Right. Yeah, that game does flashbacks really well, because like one of my favorite parts of the game is when you get to the kingdom, and like I've forgotten all the names of the places, but like when you have the flashbacks with like the Luminary's parents and with Jade, like all of that, and
Rab remembering his daughter.
Rab remembering his daughter.
It's again. I swear, Yuji Horii read Remembrance of Things Past like 6 years ago, and then made this game with flashbacks in mind.
Absolutely, yeah. It just does it so many times, like with Eric and his sister. It does it with Rob. It does it with Hendrik, I think, a few times. It does with Sylvando. Yeah, this game just really knows how to like make every character and every moment matter. I'm just trying to think of anything more specific other than like obviously, and all the flashbacks with Serenica again. Like Serenica, for a character who's only on screen for like a few hours, is like one of my favorite characters in the game, because she's I just love that relationship they build up with those four characters, and then obviously the twist where it's like, oh, one of them's the bad guy at some point. So, yeah, it just does all of that so well. But I mean, it's like simple things like killing your first metal slime again, like the time where you can realize you can exploit like the PEP system to like absolutely just destroy, like use it's who has the copying skill? Is it Jade or is it Eric? One of them's got the skill where they can like turn everything to a particular enemy, and you're supposed to like turn them all into like the mud hands or the metal slimes.
Yeah, I think it was a triple skill.
That's right.
And
that's it. Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's you do a couple of triple skills in a row, and I think it's like Eric, Jade, Hero, and Sylvando all working together at different points, and then you have about a 2/3 or 3/4 chance of having them appear all as metal slimes, and which grade of metal slime depends on your character levels. And then after that, you just have to go for a critical hit bonanza to see if you can kill them all before they decide to skip town. But it's it's a super specific way to gain a bunch of levels at once. But it's a setup that's I don't think it's that cumbersome. It's sort of fun. It is. I mean, it's awesome when you pull it off, and it's sort of fun to set up too.
Yeah.
It's a grind, but it's a fun grind in this game. I never got sick of it until it was over, and then I was definitely ready to play something else.
Yeah, I think every grind in a Dragon Quest game to me is like a fun grind, even like maxing all the job classes in 6 or 7. Well, I haven't got there quite with 7. I haven't gotten there with 7, but it's on the to-do list. But yeah, I think my most memorable in-game moment is the very first time I was playing it, and I realized like, wow, some of these plot twists that are coming into play really felt very much like Dungeons and Dragons in a way that previous games haven't. But just like even that first time when you go visit the king and he suddenly throws you in prison, and then you're in like going through the caves with Eric, and you're finding dragons around the corner and stuff, and everything just seemed so very much like you're playing a D&D campaign in a way that previous games haven't. And I thought it was a very refreshing new take for the series.
I think something that you said earlier, Mike, was that a lot of people didn't like part 3, and like we've got people on staff who didn't, but like I almost don't like part 2. I certainly don't like the ending. I think if Dragon Quest XI, I think people saying that like Act 3 is the post game, it's not. It's the rest of the game. Like it's vital. Like the ending to the part 2 is so unsatisfying because there's still unresolved. It's deliberate. There's still unresolved things. Like it's absolutely deliberate. But like, yeah, like Act 3 just wrapping everything up and then delivering that credit sequence. Like when I played Dragon Quest 11.
Man.
I'd only played 9 and 8. So like 4 and 5 have come since then. I watched that credit sequence and like felt every single moment from every single game. Like even though I'd only played like 2 of them at that point. So it's like it just, again, like it evokes memory so well. It just does flashbacks and it does like nostalgia so well. It's so good.
Yeah, it's so sentimental and celebratory that if you have any feelings at all for Dragon Quest, then that ending credit scene after Act 3 is a gut punch. It is awesome. But again, this game, like, because it has, it's about people processing regret and trying to like fix the past or make up for something they lost. It's a very sentimental game in some ways, and that the fact that Act 2 is takes you to such a low, and Act 3 is deliberately tying up loose ends and fixing what was broken makes it just very, very powerful and positive to me. I think that Act 3 is crucial to Dragon Quest 11, and I have had to defend it, as much as I find defending points online exhausting. I'm not a 24-year-old
fact.
idiot, right? I'm not a 24-year-old idiot on Final Fantasy forums anymore. So I am a Dragon Quest 11 Act 3 supporter.
Same here.
Well, that's why we all podcast. Nobody talks back to us right now.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Somebody may add us tomorrow or something, but nobody's here now.
Yeah, right. And there's a reason that I'm a podcaster and not a streamer, because the idea of reacting to an audience live is like no, I want to have my talk with my friends and then maybe curate it and clean it up a little bit. It's how to put this? I had something I wanted to say. What was it? Forget it. It's gone. But see, because we're on a podcast, you can edit all that out, and the conversation will flow much better. But
we won't.
Right, but like playing playing an RPG is a very private experience for me, and then talking about it is definitely a social experience. So I like keeping those separate. So podcasting about games is much more appealing to me than streaming games. And the idea of playing through Dragon Quest XI Act 3 while the comment section was saying how Act 3 is trash and shouldn't be in the game, it just does not sound fun at all to me, even 1%.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, we'll kind of bring this to a close here. We've talked about you guys for a while, talked about 11 a little bit. So maybe I'll try to wrap these up into 2 different things. And I know you both fought for something recently on one of your podcasts.
We did.
Okay.
Yeah,
I know. I remember. Yeah, that one.
Yep. So where do you where would you rank this among Dragon Quest games, and where would you rate this, say, in the past 20 years among RPGs? Let's throw out all the classics from the 80s and 90s. We won't debate Final Fantasy IV.
Yeah, but right around Final Fantasy X onward, actually, would be 20 years.
Yeah. Yep. Whew. I mean, it's definitely a top 3 Dragon Quest for me. I mean, I know I haven't played them all, but I think. I mean, you, Mike, did a which Dragon Quest is Dragon Best episode, didn't you? And I'm pretty sure 11 was right up there. So it might have been 4. I haven't re-listened to it recently, but it was definitely top 3, I think. And I agree with that. And I think it's I just think it does everything really, really well. It's accessible, it's classic, it's modern, it does everything. I know there's just big buzzwords that I'm throwing out there, but I generally think that if I'm going to recommend a turn-based RPG to somebody, this is going to be one of the top choices. You want to get into traditional RPGs, I'm not going to throw you into an NES game straight away. I'll give you this and then be here are loads of smaller versions to go with it. You can branch off and go play Final Fantasy 2 or whatever and just understand where it's come from, I guess. In terms of RPGs in the last 20 years, it's still right up there. Oh my goodness, I'd have to go over all of my favorites, but I'd say it's in top 15 at least. It's got to be. I just can't think of anything that does so much stuff universally well as Dragon Quest XI, apart from music. But it's what else? I think it ranks above most Final Fantasies within that time period, maybe 12 and 14, which is a little bit unfair. 10 maybe, I don't know. Or like 12 and 14 I probably like more than Dragon Quest 10, but 11 for different reasons. But yeah, it's hard to. It's one of the first games I'd recommend, and one of the first RPGs of the last 20 years I would recommend easily.
Okay, for me personally,
All right,
I'm
Mike,
going
what do
to.
you think?
Oh, sure. Yep. Sorry. Personally, for me, I think I'm going to stand by what I said earlier. My favorite Dragon Quest for many, many years has been 5, and that was never challenged until 11. I think 11 is probably my second favorite, but if you asked me that question another day, I would say is my favorite, but it is a top 2 Dragon Quest game for me very firmly, and ranking all my favorite or the best RPGs of the past 20 years is a hell of an exercise. And if I were to try to do that in part right now off the dome, I would definitely forget something. But I think that if I were to do that, when it all was said and done, Dragon Quest XI would be in the top 10 somewhere, maybe top 5. I think it is an absolutely crucial RPG in that in the PS4 generation, whatever you want to call that range of consoles. And as long as people don't have qualms about playing a game that is a little long, a little slow moving, turn-based action, then it's a total recommendation. But again, it might not match everyone's tastes and preferences exactly. If the slowest game they're willing to play is a Metal Gear Solid stealth action game, then maybe this won't be their jam. But I admit that the music isn't good, but that makes it a perfect game to listen to podcasts along to. Hey, so yeah, again, probably top 10 of the past 20 years. Definitely a top 2 Dragon Quest game is where I'm landed.
Liam, you want to answer that too?
Yeah, I mean, among the DQ games, especially as a first title for new players, it is amazing. Plot-wise and with all the twists, it is top notch. Character wise, it rivals 4, and probably even I would say even goes deeper into the lore of who these characters are by sure. So yeah, I would say it's definitely a top rank among the DQ games. Ranking it amongst RPGs, I haven't played many modern RPGs. Again, because of the kids and my lack of time, unfortunately, to play many of the PS4 games, but particularly among the retro games that I play on my phone, this game blows so much of the classic older series out of the water, and it does a lot of what I'd love to see in future games. So yeah, how about you, Platy?
Oh, I think I said this before, maybe a year ago. I've come to the realization that, even with now a few years of nostalgia, this is my number 1 DQ game. I mean, I used to say 4, 5, or 8. You ask me any day of the week, I'd pick 4 for characters, 5 for plot, 8 just for the beauty of it all and having great characters too, and stuff. But I can, if I had to go in and individually rank like each of those little things, I think 11 would then add up to be numerically like the top 1. Yeah. And far be it for me to argue with the math or.
And I still love 4. I love 4 so much, just like you. But I almost have to like split it into 2. Like, okay, we've got the classic, Dragon Quest 1 through 7, and then like the more modern Dragon Quest 8 through. At the splitting point would be original releases when the battle system changed to where you can actually see your characters. And I would say that 11 is definitely the top of the modern series, and I still have just so much great nostalgia for 4, and of course 5 and 3 among the classics.
Yeah, and I mean I put this up there right along with like Persona 4 as some of the best games that I've played since 2000. So yeah, easily top 5. Little spoiler for. We had RPG of the Decade on RP Gamer last year at the end of the 2010s, and we picked Dragon Quest XI as the RPG of the Decade. And really, it came down to, I think there were some 30 of us that had voted, and like the point totals were all like really close. But me and one other person on staff were the only 2 people that agreed on a game. Like I guess in the top like 5 or 6 games, that had received enough votes on our list. Like, this was the only one that got number one from 2 people. About 20 other people all had 20 different opinions. So since the scores were all so close, and there was two of us that had picked Dragon Quest XI, the editor's like, yeah, we'll make that the number one.
Makes sense. Yeah, that's surprising, but yeah.
We also had a RPG of the Decade feature at RPGFan, and it didn't work in Dragon Quest XI's favor. I forget exactly where it ended up. But like, we had it so that every vote was sort of a point system, and not enough people had played Dragon Quest XI, so it didn't really accrue enough points to make the top 5. But games that maybe more people had played but only ranked partway down their list did much better. But I think the people that did play Dragon Quest XI almost all rated it very highly. But I'd have to dig out that feature to find out exactly where it ranked. But it was much lower than number 1 of the decade, even though I would have put it. It probably my number 1 of the decade. It would be. I mean that, or maybe Nier Automata. Does Devil May Cry 5 count? That's very important.
Does what count?
Devil May Cry 5 count.
Probably. Yeah, that would change everything, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly. See, these are questions that we can't answer in just one podcast.
Oh man. And speaking of just one podcast, we've definitely gone over what Mike, your ideal time is too. So hopefully everybody's listening to this and hopefully everybody's listening to this at double speed and you heard all that. Or hopefully you took a break and
this is definitely more than 2 episodes of Law and Order.
But so I think with that we will wrap it up for this episode of Slime Time. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Alana, for being on. Enjoyed having you here today.
Yeah, it's been great to be here. Thank you for having us. And we should probably extend the favor at some point for sure, Mike.
Yeah, we can make that happen. It was a pleasure to talk with you guys after interacting with you on social media for some time, and I think we can find an episode topic for Retro Encounter that'll appeal to all parties.
Awesome. No, thanks so much for being here. Here's where I try to recreate the names. Alana Hagues.
Yay!
All right.
You did, yeah.
And Mike Sollosi.
Also correct.
All right. Awesome.
That 2 hours later, you've probably been repeating those in your head on a repeat. So, we'll go in here to our normal exiting routine. You might have noticed that the only time we mention Patreon on our podcast is when we say we don't use Patreon. We're all just longtime fans that want to speak about the game series that we know we love so much. But if you did have some money you wanted to donate, consider sliding on over to the Dragon's Den at www.woodus.com/den. Click on support this site. Woodus has owned and maintained the Dragon's Den fan site for over 20 years now. I'm sure he'd appreciate any donation. Or you can use his Amazon affiliate link, which now is front and center on the website. You can use it to buy anything. You're going to buy yourself a new refrigerator from Amazon. Don't know why you do that, but if you did so, maybe Woodus would get like 10 cents or something. Wouldn't cost you a penny.
And to advertise with us, yeah, I'm still here. Just sorry, just a little child-related noise in the background. I had to mute. So to advertise with us, reach out to us at slimetimepodcast@gmail.com. If you have any questions or comments, you can find us on Twitter at Instagram and find us on Twitter and Instagram at DQ Slimetime.
Yep. Consider joining in tons of Dragon Quest discussions at the Dragon Den forums. One of the few remaining forums still around. You can find it at www.woodus.com/forums. I'm still there posting about what I'm playing and talking about fan translations and DQ news.
Or come hang out with us and other tons of rabid Dragon Quest fans on the more official everyday Dragon's Den Dragon Quest Discord server.
And Mr. Sollosi and Miss Hagues, where can we find you on social media?
Well, same places as I dropped earlier. So at Alana Hagues on Twitter and Instagram, and Alana on Discord. Or you can just head over to the RPG Fan page and go to the staff profiles, and you'll see everything I've ever written on there.
Nice.
And likewise for me, you can find a lot of stuff I've recorded and written on RPGFan.com. On Twitter, I am at The Real Monsoon most of the time, at Evoker for Dogs other times. And the Retro Encounter podcast has over 300 episodes. probably 80% of which involve me monsooning about some topic or another. Check us out on rpgfan.com and listen to Retro Encounter.
Yeah, we'll have links to all this that they've mentioned and that we've talked about, as well as a lot of different Dragon Quest episodes that Retro Encounter has done throughout the years in the show notes. So if you're so inclined, feel free to look there, and got a bunch of links for you that we'll double check to make sure they're all working still. We'd like to thank everyone that made this podcast possible, our guests, and of course Brian, aka Woodus, for his support of the series and this podcast, and keeping the Dragon's Den's lights on for decades.
Thanks to Amanda Lepre and the Descendants of Urgic for allowing us to use their music for our podcast. Descendants of Urgic is a video game tribute band from Austin, Texas. Check them out in their most recent album, Advent, at www.descendantsofurgic.com or on Twitter at @dofurgic, and check out Amanda Lepre streaming on Twitch.
As always, our thanks to Dwayne Bullock, our wonderful graphic artist, a Dragon Quest fan, for making the awesome artwork cover for this podcast. Dwayne was on the original iteration of Slime Time about 10 years ago, and he's been on many of our episodes. You can check out more of his work at Dwayne Art on Instagram or his website, dwaynebullockart.bigcartel.com.
And if you're looking for more Dragon Quest Slime Time, check out our earlier episodes on Dragon's Den, Anchor FM, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and more.
Bye, everyone.
Dragon Quest Slime Time, sliming off.